What's happening, people? Get this all dialed in. Chill Q&A vibes. No freestyles today. What up, J-Ro 420? Early gang in the house. Player McPlayer, you still here? Oh shit, are we live? We are live. All Jazz Originals, what up? I don't know why it's not going live on mine though. That's crazy. Maybe it's just taking a minute. What's going on, people? Chill Q&A vibes, you know what's up? Should I turn my beat up a little bit or is it right? I want to keep it mad quiet, but yeah, there we go. Let me see what's up. Maybe I just got to refresh my page. I'm tripping because it's not live on mine. Oh, there we go. What's up, people? Trist M, what up? Just got my hoodie today. That's dope, man. Which one did you get, the black or the green? Let me get this set up so I can see all the notifications and everything. Thank y'all for sliding through, man. We've been doing these the past couple weeks, I guess. I think I've done 2. So this is the 3rd ever chill Q&A session. So super excited about these, man. Just want to have the opportunity to hop on here, build with you guys. And, you know, it's not on a regular schedule or anything like that. I just hop on when I have a little time, hang out for about an hour. And you guys can ask me whatever you want to know and get to know a little bit more about me. Shout out to everybody in the room hanging out, man. We're going to have some fun. Hey, shout out Milo Schwan. Thank you for the subscription. That's what's up. Albuquerque, New Mexico in the house. What up, Yepa? Let's go. Shout out Ash Easdale, 3 for 3 on the chill sessions. That's what's up. Low, am I saying that right? What up? UK in the house. Andy Easy, 1, 2, 3. Let's get it. Can't wait for my merch to come through. Perry Shepard, that's what's up, man. Thanks for copping. Feeling Bit Randy, hello, Mac. Do you know when the cancer fundraisers will be sending out their products? Are you talking about the t-shirts? I think if you gave at a certain level, you would receive a Fuck Cancer t-shirt. Is that what you're talking about? In terms of the, we already selected the winners. I don't have them right in front of me, but we've emailed the winners. Jason Burns won the custom freestyle. Shout out to Jason Burns. And I'm not sure who won the 5-minute Discord call, but we just sent the emails out and are getting all that dialed in. Shout out to everybody that was here for the Fuck Cancer stream, man. That shit was legendary. Miss Shandandler. You know what? I've been saying Miss Chandler. I didn't even know it was Shanandler. And then my girl was like, yeah, that's like a Friends reference. So shout out to you. And that's dope. Just got the email saying my hoodie and tee got shipped. That's what's up. Thank you so much for copping the merch. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting the merch store, man. It's been going crazy recently. I love y'all, man. Thank you. KF, another fan and I had a convo last night. We never chatted before, but we were discussing how you has started this ripple of love worldwide. Damn, that's what's up. Well, look, that's definitely the goal, man. Everything we do ripples through the universe, right? So the more positivity we can spread, the better the world will be. I hope I'm doing my part. Thank you for those bits, Mandolin Medic. What's going on? Dylan RA53, how long did it take you to write contents under pressure? Damn, we got a hype train in here. Y'all are amazing, man. It always blows my mind that we get the hype train rolling in the chill Q&A session, but I should expect nothing less. I got the best community on the whole internet, man. I mean that. Thank y'all for being here. Appreciate y'all. Let's get that level 2. Hey, right on time. Max Appeal. Another month. Let's get it. Appreciate that, Max. Content's under pressure. I mean, it took me a couple years to make it because everything was happening so fast. You know, it was like, you know, February 2017, I guess, the Venice video part 1 went super viral, and I was having these opportunities to be on the radio. I got to go on the Ellen show. I was in a, you know, national TV campaign for Mitsubishi. A lot of crazy shit was happening in my world that was completely foreign to me, and it was all happening really, really quickly. And that's kind of how it goes, like when you go viral, right? Is it's very just, you know, the line just blasts off the chart in the upward direction, which is really exciting, but it's also a lot to, you know, it's very overwhelming if you've never had anything like that happen before. So I felt like I was just treading water and playing catch up and trying to figure out how to move. And I was completely by myself in the beginning, in terms of like not having a team whatsoever. And, you know, and then gradually I started working with other people and got, you know, kind of like some management in place and stuff like that, and started figuring it out. So it took me many months just to get into a headspace where I felt like I could even start working on music, period. And, you know, that was kind of, but once I got into that space, I wrote a lot of the songs kind of in a shorter period of time. But I was still trying to figure out my process at that time. You know, I actually did write most of those songs. There are some freestyles sprinkled throughout the record. Some verses were mostly freestyled with a couple little cleanups here and there and stuff like that. But newer projects are going to be much more freestyle oriented. I just love that process a lot more. And I think I was in the Content's Under Pressure era, I was truly feeling a lot of pressure. So, you know, while I'm really, really proud of the product, and, you know, that's my first project. So it's always going to have a special place in my heart. I'm always going to be super proud of it. But, you know, definitely the pressure I was under at that time, I was kind of forcing myself to work in a way that isn't actually best suited to the way that I naturally work. So the projects we got going on now and you know, the music that's going to hopefully come out in 2021 is going to be much more freestyle oriented. In fact, you guys might see the writing process live because we might be taking, you know, songs from the Happy Hour streams or even songs from the Omegle streams and sort of repurposing those as singles and albums and things like that. So super excited for all that. Hype Train Level 2, let's get it. Shout out to everybody in the room right now, man. Thank y'all so much for being here. No freestyles today. We're just doing like a chill Q&A vibe. All jazz originals. Who are your most influential musicians, all genres? Thank you for those bits, Perry. Whew, man, there's so many. There's so many. I think Miles Davis is probably one of my biggest influences, all genres, all time. You know, when I was a little kid, the first song that I ever played along with as a drummer when I was trying to learn jazz was If I Were a Bell, off of Relaxing with the Miles Davis Quintet. Philly Joe Jones on drums, who to this day is my all-time favorite drummer. But yeah, the music of Miles Davis and also just the style and the swag and the coolness of Miles Davis just had a huge impact on me at a young age. My dad was obsessed with Miles, and so, you know, little kids look up to their parents. You know, I looked up to my dad at that time, and you know, and so he was always listening to Miles and going on and on about how dope Miles is. So that had a big impact on me. Yeah, and you know, there's so many others. Stevie Wonder, whew, Stevie. The music of Stevie Wonder has had a huge impact on me. James Brown and his drummers, Clyde Stubblefield. I mean, there was about a full year in high school where I had the James Brown Greatest Hits CD in the car stereo. I never took it out. And the way the car stereo works, when it gets to the end, it just repeats back to the top. So it was always somewhere random in the middle of the record playing one of James's hits. That's all I listened to for about a year in the whip, man, was James Brown. His music has had a huge impact on me. And in terms of freestyling, you know, I've spoken on this a bunch of times, but Supernatural is the god for me. Supernat had a huge impact on me when I first heard his Lost Freestyle Files CD back when I was, you know, probably 12 years old. Also Juice, who I discovered through the Supernatural Juice battle, and then started nerding out on Juice's videos online and things like that. And then I discovered King Los and Idea, who I got to see freestyle live when he was opening for Atmosphere back when I was in high school. You know, my favorite rapper all time is Nas, but I love so many others, too many to name. Black Alicious, which is a legendary group from the Bay, was hugely influential on me, especially early on. That's one of the first, like, really dope underground groups that me and my boys discovered, like, back when we were, again, 12 years old, 6th grade or so. Picked up the Black Alicious album, Blazing Arrow. If you haven't heard it, go check that out, man. I'm telling you, Black Alicious, Blazing Arrow is fire, and that had a huge influence on me. So, you know, I've been influenced by so many musicians from different genres over the years. It's too many to name, but those are some of the big ones for sure. Hey, we got these emotes. Let's get it. Thank y'all for the hype train, man, in the chill Q&A session. Y'all are so dope for that, man. Shout out to everybody in here right now watching. We got more than 300 people in here right now. Let's go. Dark Revision, have you heard of Chris Turner? A similar popular freestyle rapper. Oh, let me catch that. Hold up. I don't know why it's not freezing. Said, have you heard of Chris Turner? Yes, I have. He's amazing. Would love to see a collab freestyle someday. You guys are easily the best freestyle rappers. Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Yeah, Chris Turner is incredible, man. I saw his video start popping up maybe about a year ago. And yeah, he's nuts, man. He's really, really dope. His memory and ability to hold things in his brain really inspired me a lot. That's actually what got me going in terms of, you know, I used to just ask for words. I'd ask people to throw me words. So it'd be like, you know, continually lob me words throughout the freestyle. But then when I saw how Chris did it, where he would get, you know, however many, I mean, he sometimes gets like, I feel like 8 or 9 words, right? At the very top before he starts. And then he says, drop the beat. And then he'll go in order through all 8 words and sort of string them together with callbacks and cool, you know, tie-ins. And that really inspired me a lot to kind of like work on my memory skills. And that's when I started asking for multiple words. You know, let me get a few words and then go into the freestyle and kind of hold those in my memory. So, yeah, shout out to Chris Turner, man. He's super dope. I would love to collab with him. We've spoken on the phone, and he's a really, really, really nice guy. So respect to him. I'm sure we'll do something someday. I feel like it's inevitable. It's just right now with COVID and everything, it's kind of difficult to do those in-person collaborations. And it's even more difficult to do a virtual cipher without lag. So anyway, we'll have to see what makes sense. But shout out to Chris. He's super dope. Also, shout out to the dude mowing the lawn next door. I hope y'all like that little background ambiance. Jav Mar, let's go. Thank you for that subscription. Appreciate that. First time catching you live on Twitch. Don Love, what up? Welcome. Normally I'm freestyling and barring out and everything, but no freestyles today. We're just doing the chill Q&A session. Shout out to Telestoni. You pull me through hard times. Your music and content make me so positive. That's what's up, man. Hell yes. I love to hear that. Shout out to you, Telestoni. That's what I'm all about. I've gained so much positivity through music. Music has had such a huge impact on me and my life. It really lifted me up when I was dealing with hard times as well, dating back to when I was a little kid. I used to crawl towards the stereo and vibrate when I heard Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf on the radio. So music has done so much for me. The least I can do is try to offer that same positivity and inspiration back to my fans. And it's always really a blessing to hear that I am having that positive impact on other people. So shout out to you, Telestoni. Much love. Perry Shepard, what's your favorite freestyle you've ever done? That's tough to say. That's tough to say because there's so many different factors that impact the way I feel about different performances I've done or the reason why I might really like it. Part of me wants to say that my freestyle with Kendrick was my favorite. I don't think it's the dopest from a technical standpoint. It's not when I had the hottest bars or when I really had the most seamless transitions or managed to avoid filler. It's not that at all. So it's not my best freestyle if we're talking about the craft, but it was so significant to me, you know, to be able to meet Kendrick Lamar at that stage in the game, to be able to shake his hand, sit down next to him, and bust a freestyle for him, and then for him to share those inspirational words with me afterwards was just such a game-changing moment for me. It's hard to not feel like that was my favorite freestyle performance. And on top of that, you know, I got to kind of express to him my story of coming to discover his music and what that meant to me, and how, you know, my friend Brady told me to check out The Heart Part 1. I remember watching that video on YouTube back when I was in college and just getting my mind blown, and then kind of keeping an eye on him. And I was, you know, at school in LA, obviously, and people were talking about how, you know, he was the next up and comer in LA, and he was with Dre and everything, and was about to change the game. And, so to get to watch him kind of blow up as an artist was incredible, and to be able to tell him about that in the freestyle was super special to me. So, yeah, I would definitely say that that's my favorite performance. Although it's not my best, it's my favorite. And to be real with you, some of my best performances, like where the freestyle was actually next level, those happen, you know, in the streams randomly here on Twitch or even on some of the YouTube streams. There are moments that are just like really dope because I'm not trying as hard. You know what I mean? I'm not trying, like when you're gonna go meet Kendrick and they're like, you're gonna freestyle for Kendrick, you're like, oh shit, I have to be dope, right? You put all this pressure on yourself. When I'm building with the community and rocking for y'all, of course I care very much about doing a great job, but I'm not putting all this external pressure on myself like, Harry, you have to do good. This is high stakes. If you don't do good, you know, you're never gonna work in this town again, right? Or whatever the fuck. So, you know, I think a lot of my actual highest level freestyle performances just occur randomly during the streams. Great question. What else we got? The True Duck. Do you read books? Which kind of book? Absolutely, man. I love reading. I wish I had more time to read right now. So I need to make more time to read, because there's always time to read as long as I carve out that time. And I think it's really, really important. I've been very inspired by things that I've read through the years. It's kind of funny because when I was young, I hated reading. I wasn't into it at all. You know, all through school, I would, you know, kind of like fake all the book reports, or, you know, just read Spark Notes online, ask my friends what I was supposed to know about the book. And, you know, I was kind of good at cheating the system back then. So I got by. And even in college, I never really did the reading, very rarely. There weren't really any books that I was into. But as an adult now, I love reading. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I would say more often than not, I read nonfiction. I love Malcolm Gladwell. You know, I read books about, you know, self-improvement. I read books about mindfulness and meditation. I'm currently reading a book. It's an older book called Wherever You Go, There You Are by John Kabat-Zinn, about mindfulness meditation, which is really dope. I've read it before and I'm reading it now again. It's one of those books you can read it 100 times over and catch something new each time you read it. You know, books like The Alchemist or The Celestine Prophecy, which are books that kind of, you know, the whole book is sort of an extended metaphor for life philosophies and things like that. But I also dig reading fiction. I mean, The Alchemist is fiction, as is The Celestine Prophecy. I recently read not too recently, but some months back, I read The Shining by Stephen King, which was great. Reading fiction is dope too. And around that time, I was doing a lot of like narrative storytelling freestyles on the stream, just coincidentally. So people were asking me like, yo, freestyle a horror story. And I was just catching mad inspiration from having read Stephen King. So yeah, reading is super dope. I encourage everybody to do more of it if it works for you. I know some people don't really learn well that way. So, you know, everybody's different, but I do enjoy reading books. Thank you so much for that sub, whoever that was. I missed the name. Let's see. This is dope, man. Thank y'all for tapping in with me. I love doing these chill Q&A sessions. I really enjoy doing this. So I'm going to try to hop in here as often as I can. See what people are saying. Ben Petroni, is it frustrating when you drop a wild bar and it goes right over their heads on Omegle or even in person? I wouldn't really say it's frustrating. It doesn't really crush my vibe or anything like that. I try to have a mix of bars in terms of like level of comprehension, right? So I try not to make it where every single bar I'm dropping is like super advanced. Shout out, good Mike. Thank you for that sub. I try not to have it be a situation where every bar I drop is going to be highly advanced and go right over people's heads. I try to have a mix. Some bars are just very easy to catch. If the word was hand, say something like, yo, I'm about to grip the mic up in my hand, get some of those across too, so that everybody can kind of be on a level playing field in terms of bar comprehension. Because I know that not everybody I'm rapping for is like a hip hop head. In fact, most people are not, right? If anything, they're casual hip hop listeners. I'm sure some of the people I rap for, hip hop isn't even their preferred genre, period, right? So I personally enjoy the challenge of trying to connect and communicate with all levels of listener, with any audience member. I want to feel like through freestyling, I'll be able to connect with any other human being on earth, if given the opportunity. That's my goal. So, it doesn't really frustrate me when some bars go over people's heads. I feel like I'm always reaching for some of those more outlandish bars, some of those kind of crazier bars that are kind of for the hip hop heads. And, so it doesn't always surprise me when those don't really land. And hey, I know they're captured on the video for the YouTube audience, and I know people are going to be, pinning it in the comments and talking about how dope, those bars were. So, everybody appreciates different things about rapping and freestyling and performing. Some people just like the fact that I'm smiling while I'm rapping, point blank. Some people just like the rhythm and the flow of it. Some people are more impressed by the beats, and they should go follow that kid Goran. So it really just depends, man. But I try to speak to everybody when I'm rapping. Laria Harvey said, do you often get recognized when you're out and about, like at the grocery store? No, not really. And these days I'm not really out and about that much. The only times I really might get recognized is if I'm walking around like Venice Beach on the boardwalk or whatever, because that's where people have seen me the most. And so people associate me with that area. And so when they see me in that environment, they're able to connect the dots, especially if we're shooting content, obviously, because there's a videographer rolling around with me and I'm holding the speaker. But I don't really get recognized that much. When I was in the Mitsubishi commercial, I got recognized a lot more, though. For those few months when they were really running the Mitsubishi commercial a lot, then I would get ready. Be like, oh, you're the dude from the Mitsubishi commercial. But they wouldn't be like, oh, you're Harry Mack. I was just the dude from the Mitsubishi commercial. So that was kind of fun. But no, I'm not really at that level yet where I get recognized every time I leave the house or anything. So I can't even imagine what that's like. Shout out to anybody who is on that level. Vuvu, thank you for saying that. Love the mix of empathy and passion. It's inspiring, no doubt. Thank you for saying that. If you could talk with one person, dead or alive, who is it and why? Well, I already mentioned his name earlier as probably my biggest influence in all genres. Thank you for the bits, Perry. Yeah, I mentioned him earlier as one of my biggest influences in all genres, but I would say Miles Davis. If I could talk to anybody, dead or alive, I would resurrect the ghost of Miles Davis and pick his brain about creativity and what it means to be cool and, how he came up with his ideas, because he was such an original artist. And, he really is the definition of cool, and he was so influential on me. I would love to pick his brain. I know he was a very intense personality, so who knows if he would even like me. He might not fuck with me at all. He had very strong opinions about other humans, but that's part of what made him so unique and made him who he was. So, yeah, man, great question. Let me shuffle the deck a little bit. Yeah. Thong along 11. And Ryder in the house. Do you plan on bringing gorilla bars back after COVID? How often do you expect that you'll run into people who will recognize you nowadays? Yeah, great question. We actually addressed this on one of the previous Q&As, but I'll address it again. I definitely want to get it back out there and start doing gorilla bars again. That's kind of like my flagship series. It's certainly what I'm most known for. And, the most successful series that I've ever had on YouTube. So yeah, Gorilla Bars is my baby, and I'm super proud of it, and I'm excited to get back out there and keep doing that. And it's just really dope to connect with people in the real world, so to speak, and to be in the same physical space as other human beings, creating and feeling that energy bounce back and forth off all the people in the cipher. There's nothing like it. So I'm really excited to get back out and start doing that again. I will say, I don't know exactly what that's going to look like or when it's even going to be possible to do that. Even when we're able to go back outside again, I just don't know what a post-COVID world is going to look like. You know, what I used to do back in the day, I mean, it's eerie watching the videos, right? To see how close I was to people and how much we were dapping each other up and the arm around, halfway hug type of thing, just left and right with everybody, total strangers. And that wasn't strange at all back when I was doing that. And, you know, I was doing that not long ago. I mean, less than a year ago, right? And it was totally normal. So it's really trippy to see how much things have shifted in less than a year with COVID. So even when we're able to get back out there, I don't know how much appetite random strangers are going to have for me walking up and saying, yo, can I spit for you? Right? People don't want anybody spitting anywhere near them, period. Rap or otherwise, right? So it's probably going to look a lot different. I don't want to force it. I don't want to do it if it's going to be weird. It was already, you know, one of the biggest challenges in making Gorilla Bars already was navigating the social aspect of it and making sure that everyone was comfortable and not wanting to make people feel uncomfortable or weird. So I think, you know, we'll just have to see. And just like every other, you know, creator, I'm just taking it one step at a time. But I'm really blessed to have this Omegle series that's kind of popping now and that's kind of giving me that outlet and allowing me to rap for strangers. So great question. LB, the Prodigy in the house. Yo, y'all got to go fuck with this dude's beats. LB, the Prodigy, what's popping, man? This dude has the heat. We made a dope video together. It's on IG. So if you haven't seen it, go check that out. Any other hobbies? Most definitely, man. You know, I talked about one of my favorite hobbies earlier, which is reading. And I'm trying to make more time for reading on a daily basis. You know, another big one for me is meditation, which is, I don't know if you would call that a hobby. That's more like a, you know, a daily practice. It's a little more serious than a hobby. But I've really been making time to meditate every morning recently. And I think it's really, really important. So I'm on that journey. You know, I write 3 pages every day, not rap. I journal 3 pages every day. That's called the morning pages. That's a concept that I got from a book called The Artist's Way. I don't know the name of the author off the top of my head. But I also got one of my favorite sayings from that book, The Artist's Way, which is leap and the net will appear. That's my all-time favorite saying because I believe that that is 1000% true. Leap and the net will appear. You know, too often we try to have that net in place so that we can leap. And what I mean by that is you might be at a job that you hate. You have a dream of the job that you want to build for yourself. But you're not willing to make that leap because that job that you hate is giving you that security. It's paying your bills. You need that paycheck. And you can't imagine leaping into this new potential career where there's no security, right? So you're trying to build out that net first so that you'll have that security so that you can leap. But in my experience, you know, it never works that way. You know, when I worked at the call center, I eventually just made a choice. I said, fuck it, I'm doing music full time right now. Now, that was a terrible idea on paper. I wasn't making enough money from music to justify me doing it full time. I certainly wasn't making enough money from music to justify me quitting my day job at the call center. But it got to a point where I just said, I can't do this anymore. You know, my dream is too big and it's too important to me, and I can't waste any more time, you know, at this soul-sucking job. I gotta make that leap. And sure enough, as soon as I quit the job and made the choice that I was gonna do music full time, that's when things started happening for me. So that was a tangent because that has nothing to do with my hobbies. But I write the morning pages, which I learned from The Artist's Way. So yeah, reading, meditating, writing every day, journaling. I love going on walks, solo walks or walks with my girl, whatever. I love going on walks through my neighborhood, and you know, I'm better at focusing and thinking and being creative when my body's moving. That's why I'm always going crazy when I'm freestyling. So yeah, man, I like going on drives too. Just the change in scenery is really exciting to me. What else? Well, I watch shows sometimes, you know. Damn, 1,000 bits. Let's go. Shout out to This Is Arma. Appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry about the lawn mowing. It's going on right next door. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I can hear it in my headphones, so I'm guessing you can. But yeah, those are some of my hobbies. I like cooking, ever since quarantine, we've been cooking like all our meals, which is super exciting. It's healthier. We're saving money and I'm getting into it. We used to watch Chopped a lot just to like get ideas for cooking and things like that. So, yeah, shout out LB the Prodigy. Thanks for being here, man. Would you ever come to Ireland? 100,000%, man. I'm Irish. I've never been there, so I would love to get back in touch with my roots. Hey, shout out to Ray Wimley. What up, Ray? Yo, Ray Wimley is a dope freestyler. Y'all gotta go definitely mess with him, man. He's a high-level freestyler. Yo, Ray, we gotta do something on here, man. We're gonna do that. It's good to see you on here. I'm assuming it's you, unless there's some other Ray Wimley out there. But, yeah, I would definitely go to Ireland. Soon as it's safe to travel again, man, I want to go a lot of places and rock shows and hit stages and come see all of y'all. So definitely looking forward to that. Life of Dotabum. I'm not freestyling on this session. I'm just doing like a chill Q&A thing. But we freestyle on here every Thursday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific to 1 p.m. And every Saturday evening, 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific. So we do a lot of freestyles on here. But right now, I'm just doing the chill Q&A thing, man. Thank you for being here, though. Tad said, please dig out the drum set. Yeah, I definitely got to do that soon. But I know I'm rusty as fuck on those drums, man. I haven't been practicing nearly as much. So that's no excuse, though. Definitely got to get the drums out sometime soon. Light Bliss, thank you for gifting those subs. Let's go. Shout out to Light Bliss. Now let me shuffle the deck, see what's coming through. How did you gain so much general knowledge? This one is from Sprinty Chan. Sorry, let me grab this. How did you gain so much general knowledge? Your freestyles always include such detailed stuff about whatever topic. Great question. So there's a few things that go into that. One, I mentioned I love reading. I really love learning. I've always loved learning since I was a kid. So whether I'm reading or watching a documentary or having an interesting conversation with somebody in a separate field that knows a lot about what they do and getting inspired by the information they're sharing, there's so many different avenues to learn things, and I'm really into learning, so it's kind of natural for me to, ask questions and want to learn about new subjects. And I think that helps a lot as a freestyler. I will say this, though. I'm not sure that my general knowledge is that much more advanced than a lot of you watching this right now. I think that everybody has a lot of knowledge about something, right? And many of us have a lot of knowledge about multiple things. And I've said this before, and I believe this, even if all you do is lay around on your couch and watch TV, well, then you just know a ton about TV schedules. You know a ton about shows and how they're structured. You know the names of all the characters on your favorite shows. You might know the names of your favorite episodes. You know which network all the different shows are on, right? So if you were a freestyler, and all you did was lay around on the couch, watch TV shows, and practice your freestyling. Well, if someone said, yo, do a freestyle about your favorite TV shows, you would be able to scheme for days, right? And likewise, if you're a plumber, you could do a freestyle plumber, right? Of which I'm sure there are many. You could do an extended freestyle all about the ins and outs of plumbing with all kinds of, like intricate pieces of information that average Joes don't know about plumbing. So for me, I think it's less that I have like this massive wealth of general knowledge, and because there are whole subjects that I know almost nothing about, like sports, right? I'm just not into sports. Don't really play any sports. Don't really watch any sports. I don't have any teams, so to speak. But I freestyle about sports all the time. I mean, how often have I gotten the word basketball, right? But I don't talk about players' names as often, or specific stats, or games that happened this year, or even who won the championships, because most years I won't know, right? That's how out of the loop in terms of sports I really am. So what I do is I talk about making a half-court shot look like a free throw, or how rapping for me is a layup, or how my lyrics bounce on the track like a basketball. Now, this is stuff that everybody knows. Anybody that was in elementary school gym class knows like the very basic terminology surrounding basketball, or any sport for that matter. Lyrics, I kick them like soccer balls. I'm scoring the goal. right? So I think for me, a lot of people see me freestyling and they're like, damn, this guy knows a lot of shit. The reality is I'm just very trained at accessing the knowledge I do have in a very expansive way, right? If that makes sense. So it's less about knowing a ton of general knowledge and more just dropping all the barriers, dropping all the reservations you might have, and letting all of your personal knowledge enter your brain, you know, and flood your brain with any word, whether I know about it or not. Last night I was doing a virtual performance actually for somebody's birthday on Zoom, and they gave me the word taro, like the root. I said, what's that? I said, taro root. It's used to make milk tea. And that's all I had, right? Now, I don't know anything about that. I don't really know what the taro root is, but okay, I went from taro root to milk tea, and I'm able to talk about how my flow is deeply rooted, right? Or just like tea, my path is steep, right? Or, you know, I'm sipping the tea and it's waking me up, or maybe not because it's caffeine free, right? Or I'm boiling with hot water, the kettle's whistling, the hot stove top, pour me another cup, drip some honey, squeeze some lemon, right? So without knowing anything about taro tea or taro root, you know, I'm able to just access a lot of information that I do know that is somehow tangentially related to that subject. And so I think that's really the important skill is you don't got to pull out an encyclopedia and start learning everything you can to be a dope freestyler. You already know enough. You already know more than enough. What it's about is just opening those doors and letting all that information come to you. So that's my 2 cents on that one. Great question, Sprinty Chan. Let's go. Let me see what else we got. B Mello said, do you see anything in your head when doing freestyles? I see things as my thoughts progress. That's an interesting question. I don't think I really see things in my head while I'm freestyling. I guess maybe I do. It's hard to say, man. It's such an adrenaline-induced process. You know, even now, I've been freestyling for 18 years. Every single time I do a freestyle, I get a massive adrenaline rush. And I'm sure you can tell from the videos. And I'm so hype. And afterwards, I'm out of breath. And sometimes having those little conversations in happy hour on stream right after I finish the freestyle is like, I'm winded, man. I'm like a little embarrassed. I'm like, I need to mute my mic because this adrenaline, I'm shaking with adrenaline. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say. I'm not like seeing imagery with clarity or anything like that. When people give me the words, I try to hold like an image of the word in my head. Not the letters, but like a symbol that would represent it. If the word was lion, I'll see like a little cartoon lion kind of in my mind's eye. And that helps me just to remember if I can see the cartoon lion and the fire hydrant and the ladder, if those were the 3 words, for example, you know, to kind of burn those in my mind as much as possible so I can hopefully recall the words later in the session. I still mess that up a lot. I'm working on the memory games. Yeah, great question. Chrisser. Hey, Harry, I'm expecting merch tomorrow. Very excited. Thanks for doing what you do. Thank you for copping the merch. Much appreciated. Make sure y'all hit up that shop online if you haven't yet. It goes a long way in terms of supporting me. I really appreciate it. Vasora98. Hi, Mac. I just wanted to say that general rule, I draw while you are rhyming, and it is always fantastic, the energy you transmit. Thank you. That is super dope. I love that. Transmission of creativity from freestyle to drawing. That's really dope. I'd love to see some of your drawings at some point. You got to come on happy hour. Get in that happy hour lobby next time. Donald said, have you thought about doing Omegle bloopers / weird moments? Yeah, I mean, I have. And there is a lot of footage of, I guess, awkward moments and stuff like that. I don't really think the Omegle bloopers are that entertaining. Really, the bloopers would probably be the clips where, you know, the freestyle is dope, but the people said I couldn't use it. And in that case, I can't use it. So, you know, it's a catch-22. The best bloopers are the ones where people said I can't use it, but because they said I can't use it, I can't use them as bloopers. Yeah, other than that, I don't think there's a ton of really quality blooper moments from Omegle. Stay whooping 88. Yo, thank you for that donation. Appreciate that. Learned a lot about me in the complex vid. Oh, that's what's up. Hell yeah. I'm glad that bootleg leaked, man, because the official Complex video is down. All right, let's shuffle the deck a little bit. Green Alchemy raiding with a party of 20. Let's go. Shout out to all the raiders. Thank y'all for being here. I'm not freestyling today. I'm just doing like a chill Q&A session. So feel free to ask me anything. We out here. Don Zach 90. What up? What up? How did you get such a good memory? Well, you know, it's something that I've been practicing more recently. I think a lot of the musical memory I have comes from my violin training. I started playing violin when I was 7, and I was studying the Suzuki method. So shout out to all the strings players using the Suzuki method. But a big part of that method is based on listening and learning through listening and memory. And so, you know, my teacher was very strict about that. I would always have to be listening on a strict regiment to the song that I was currently learning, as well as the kind of next 2 songs in the queue that I would be learning going forward. So, you know, my dad would make like custom tapes from the master recordings, and it would just be like the song I was working on 3 times in a row, and then the next songs I was gonna learn each 3 times in a row, and that whole sequence would loop a bunch of times, and I would just play it at night when I was falling asleep. Well, he would have me play it at night when I was falling asleep. I was, 7, 8 years old, so I was just, whatever. Yeah, I was doing whatever my teacher and my dad said I had to do. But it was amazing, because what would happen is when it was time to start working on the next piece, my teacher would I didn't really know how to read music, right? They really, at least my teacher, emphasized the listening much more than the sight reading in the beginning. And so, she would say, okay, let's start on this next piece. Go ahead and try playing it. And, at first I'd be like, how am I going to try? I have no idea how it goes. And she'd be like, okay, your first note is this. Now see if you can find the melody. And it was amazing the way the melody would just kind of unfold out of my hands. Not perfectly. And there would be some wrong notes, and I would quickly fix them to the right note. But that melody was in my head, and it was in my heart from just all the repetitive listening. And I think that somehow that had an impact on my musical memory and the way that I absorb musical information and being able to hear things, probably hear words, hear flows, hear styles and vocal inflections from rappers, and, hear the rhythm of beats and rhythm for drumming, and kind of absorb it all and sort of hold that information in my head. So I think that plays a role in my memory. In terms of like short-term memory, it's really not that good. I'm practicing to get better at being able to, like, for example, hold on to the new words that people will throw me in happy hour. That's a challenge for me. And that's something I'm working on. And kind of burning those icon images of the words in my head before I start is something that's been helping with that. Great question. Belgium in the house. Let's go. What else we got? Love to the plumbers. Oh, I'm deep back in the chat. Oh yeah, Vladimir said when you were in happy hour with Uncle Jiz, your Star Wars knowledge was on point. You a Star Wars fan? Definitely, man. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but original trilogy only. I'm one of those guys. I'm a purist, man. I'm a purist. And really, it's not even that I'm this big purist for Star Wars or anything like that. It's just that, when I was in 1st or 2nd grade, the special edition came out of the original trilogy, right? Because they were starting to get people hyped up for the new episodes that they knew they were going to roll out in the coming years. So to start building hype and anticipation for that, they had the special edition come out with like the added CGI, which is actually pretty whack. A lot of the added CGI is just really poorly done because of the technology they had at that time and the way they just kind of copy and pasted a lot of new CGI elements on top of the original Star Wars footage. It's really funny. But what was dope about it was the original trilogy went back to theaters because of the special edition. So me and all my friends in like 1st and 2nd grade got to go see the original Star Wars movies in theaters. Peace to anybody who remembers that time and who was, my age around then. But it was like being alive in the 70s or whatever when they first came out. We got to go line up and see Star Wars in theaters. So, that had a huge impression on me, obviously, as a kid. And every time we were drawing TIE fighters and X-Wings and, and shit like that. So I fell in love with the original trilogy. And then by the time the new ones were coming out, we were just like, it's not as good. You know, we fucked with it, you know. And I used to play the Pod Racer video game on N64 and shit like that. So it was cool, but it doesn't really have the same place in my heart, and I don't have nearly as much knowledge. If I had to bar out about the newer episodes, it wouldn't be anywhere near as intricate as, you know, my knowledge of the original trilogy. Shout out to my people from Quebec. What up, Funny Monkey? What's up? Lovely Lace. Any more competitions coming up on the Austin show on Twitch? I'm sure the Austin show is going to come back around sometime soon. Actually, I think they just had another Austin show. I'm not in any competitions that are coming up as of now, but I'll definitely keep y'all posted if I am. Yeah. Kid Sleaze, damn, do you ever have any free time, Mac? Not as much these days, man. I'm going pretty hard these days, and I love it. It doesn't feel like work most of the time. You know, I'm going hard at my dreams. I love freestyling. I love being creative. And I love having these opportunities to build with you all, real talk. I love having these opportunities to build with the community. I'm really proud to have such a positive, dope community of human beings here on the internet. I know that's not always the way that it goes with these online communities, to have so much positivity and so much support and love. So I'm blessed, man. I really feel like I'm living my dream. And you know, when you've dreamed of doing something your whole life, you go hard for that dream. And so I'm working all the time, but you know, it's what I've always wanted, and it feels good. And I do have to remember to, you know, make time for myself and make time to just chill and relax, because that's not always as easy for me. You know, I'm so motivated. I'm so focused on taking it to the next level. I'm always looking ahead. You know, just like when you're freestyling, you can't look back and revise. You can't work on what already came. You're always like, what's the next move? And I'm very much that same way. So we're always building, but it's worth it, man. It's worth it. Yeah. Uncle Jasper said, love your self-produced beats, Mac. Any plans on releasing those? Yes. So we're finishing out some projects for the year. I think top of 2021, we're going to put a lot of things into effect that we've been talking about doing for a minute. And one of those things is definitely releasing the classic Mack freestyle beats, at least the ones that I'm the most proud of and the ones that I kind of cooked up from scratch. Some of the beats that, you know, are technically my productions that we used to use on the YouTube streams are basically just copy and paste constructions from, you know, splice packs, like stem packs where there's a bass loop and a keys loop and a melody loop and all that. Then I would find a drum loop that sounded good with it, and then I would just arrange it out, take the bass out here, add something else here, layer some sound effects on top, and do some light production to kind of make it my own. So those, I don't know if I really feel right dropping those under my own name, but a bunch of the beats from the Harry Mack arsenal, and some of the ones that we've been using more recently, in fact, in the Amigo Bars series, are definitely going to come out, man. I'm excited to get those out so that they can be out there for all the freestylers and up-and-comers and people who just want to find beats that they can use to make content and record freestyles and things like that. I definitely want to share those beats with y'all. So, yeah, man, I think top of 2021, we can get that going. Hey, thank you for saying that. Muwastakin 11. I have a huge respect for teachers and educators, so. Yeah. Let me shuffle the deck here, if y'all don't mind. Yo, shout out to all the Raiders. Let's go. Cereal gang in the house. Hell yeah. Oh, this is dope right here. Donald7881. Bro, Leap and the Net Will Appear hit home for me. Been contemplating moving to Colorado to be with my fam. Been locked in Minnesota because of my job. You just helped me make up my mind. Let's go. I love that. Shout out to Donald7881. Leap and the Net Will Appear, man. That's the realest shit ever. Go for it, man. Sabadon said, I like this. Not used to you talking, Mac. Yeah, that's funny. It's true. Every time I'm streaming, I'm freestyling, and that's exactly why I wanted to do this. You know, a lot of people would reach out and just want to know things about me personally. And, you know, I talk on a lot of these things while I'm freestyling. You know, I answer a lot of these questions in freestyle form, but it's nice to have this relaxed environment and this space where I'm able to kind of open up in plain English, not to a beat and not with the pressure of having to rhyme and sound dope, and just talk to you guys and build with you guys. I've been really enjoying these Q&A streams. Let me know if y'all are feeling these too, man. So far, the response has been crazy. So definitely going to do more of these, man. Yeah. Yeah. What part of Ireland are your family from? I don't even know. I'm very disconnected from my roots. I would love to know more about that. I got to do one of those ancestry.com joints so I can figure out where we really come from. But I've never been to Ireland. Got to make it out there. Definitely when it's safe to travel again. I got to book a show out in Ireland, man. That would be crazy. Max Illital. Hey, H. Mack, you seem to be a very humble person, grateful and positive. Do you believe in the law of attraction? Yes, I do. I do believe in the law of attraction. You know, I've read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I think the type of energy you put out into the world comes back to you. You know, I think it's all about cause and effect, right? I mean, karma is just the concept that one thing leads to the next thing, right? Without this, there can't be that. You know, first this and then that, right? So I definitely believe in the law of attraction, which, you know, and I'm not sure I know the full definition of that technically. My understanding of what that means for me is that the type of energy I put out into the world is the type of energy I'm going to attract back into my sphere. So, yeah, man, I definitely fuck with that concept. Yeah. If you could play any instrument, what would it be? Man, I'm a drummer through and through. I love my instrument. I haven't been playing enough. If I could learn any other instrument and play it really well, it would definitely be the piano. Because, you know, second to drummers, the musicians that I idolize the most are the great pianists from the jazz world, you know. Red Garland, Wynton Kelly, Oscar Peterson, Bill Evans. I just love piano players, and the fact that the piano can kind of represent a full orchestra inside a single instrument, it can do everything: bass lines, harmony, melody. Yeah, it's just a super, super dope instrument. Lovely Lace said, what are some good filler words you use? I notice I use the fuck words a lot while learning to freestyle. That's funny. Yeah, that's very common. A lot of people will say, I don't give a fuck a lot when they're freestyling, right? Or I don't even know, or fuck it, or, you know, whatever, or goddamn. There's so many, you know, kind of just like generic filler phrases that you can use. And, you know, I've used all of them at one time or another. You know, and they come and go, and they get subbed out for different ones, or when I'm on the mic, when I'm in effect, when I do my thing, ayo, check it, you know. So the important thing for a filler phrase is that it doesn't assert a strong direction. It needs to be wide open. That's why when I'm on the mic is useful, because if you're freestyling, you're always on the mic, right? So that will apply to whatever you're going to say next, for the most part. Same with goddamn, right? I mean, that's just like a general expression of excitement, you know? It's just like a generic rap exclamation. Goddamn, you can go anywhere from there. You wouldn't want your filler phrase to be something like, when I water my plants. Because it's like, whoa, that, you know, that really locks it in. Everything you rap about now has to be about what you do when you water your plants, you know? And unless you were planning a freestyle about, you know, turning the spigot on and you know, adjusting the hose nozzle to the correct setting and, you know, whatever the fuck, that's not really gonna work. So, or even like, I'm so mad right now, that wouldn't be a good filler phrase. Hey, yo, I'm so pissed, because then you're always starting about being pissed. What if you're happy? So anyway, I'm just clowning right now. This is all kind of like really obvious shit. But when you're playing around with filler phrases and you're freestyling, you need some of those filler phrases to help, blur the edges and connect your ideas more seamlessly and to give you that mental breath while you're looking for the next thing you're going to reference in your bars, right? We all need those mental breaths while we're freestyling. So just make sure that whatever filler phrase you're messing with is wide open and will allow you to go any which direction while you're rapping. Great question. Yeah. Yo, shout out to Elena, the Epic Gamer 10. Harry, I'm Zip Off the Rips kid. Oh, what up? Hell yeah. I just met Zip Off the Rip last happy hour session, and he did a dope freestyle for me and held up a piece of your art, I think. I believe it was yours. So shout out to you. Thank you for being here. It said, I want to know when you really got your flow and was it easy? It was not easy. It was not easy. My first freestyles were very whack. They were not dope at all, right? And I've said that many times. In every interview, it comes up. The fact that when I first tried to freestyle, I didn't have it, right? If you heard my first freestyles, you wouldn't say, oh, this guy, he's gonna go all the way with this freestyle thing. But I was 12 years old when I did my first freestyles. And I wasn't hypercritical of myself. And I wasn't judging myself. I was just having fun. I was having the time of my life. And paradoxically, the fact that I didn't care as much about being great, the fact that I wasn't putting a bunch of pressure on myself to be great, that's what allowed me to want to keep coming back and doing it every day for so long, because I was just having so much fun learning and messing up and falling flat on my face and picking myself back up and trying again. I just couldn't wait to try again. And I still feel that way to this very day. So yeah, it's taken me 18 years to achieve the level that I'm at today, and I'm still practicing, and there's so much more that I still want to learn. I don't think that's ever going to go away. So it took some years. I would say like the first time, I started freestyling when I was 12. The first period in my life where I felt like, oh, okay, I'm kind of onto something. I got some skills now. I'm not super dope or anything, but yeah, I'm starting to get somewhere with this freestyle thing. That was probably like freshman, sophomore year of high school, when I first started to feel like, all right, there's some shit coming together finally. All this practice is really starting to pay off. And that was kind of the first time when we started freestyling at parties outside of the house, and other people started hearing me, and I was getting decent feedback from people who wouldn't just tell me I was good to be nice. Random people in high school who definitely would have made fun of me if I was whack were saying like, all right, man, this guy's got some stuff. So yeah, it took some time. But my advice to anybody out there trying to learn, whether it's freestyling or drawing or painting or a sport, anything, any craft or skill, don't expect it to happen quickly. It's not going to happen overnight. And I know that's a generic thing to say, but it's so true. You got to put those reps in. You got to be patient. And, the reason there aren't more crazy dope freestylers in the world, the reason there's only a handful of crazy dope freestylers that we know of, is because most people don't have the patience to really put the time in that it takes to grow in this freestyle space. It's a very high level of expression, and it requires a lot of different skills that overlap on top of each other. It's not just one thing, right? Because you could dedicate a lifetime just to studying rhythm and flow, right? Similarly, you could dedicate a lifetime just to studying wordplay, metaphors, similes, alliteration, how to break words apart, flip them inside out, and spit them back in a new form, right? And, likewise, you could dedicate a whole lifetime just to studying rhyme, multisyllabic rhyming, rhyme patterns, AAB, CCB, whatever. You could go as deep as you want. So, all of these things are overlapping and interplaying every time that you bust a freestyle. So you really got to put time in. You have to be patient, and you have to be honest with yourself about the level that you're actually at, right? That's the other thing. A lot of people try to practice stuff that's way ahead of their current level. If you can't do a 16-bar freestyle with basic rhyme couplets, You should not be practicing deep, intricate, multi-syllabic rhyme patterns, right? It's going to do more harm than good. So that was a little bit of a tangent, but I really appreciate this question. And, I love learning and I love teaching as well. So just wanted to speak on that a little bit. But yeah, I would say it took me 4 or 5 years before I felt like my flow was starting to kick into gear. And it's taken me 18 years to reach the level I'm at now. So great question. Hey, yo, shout out to Expedite Death. Thank you for gifting that sub. Let's go. Yeah, hey, yeah. Shout out to Kyle Harris. Thank you for being here. Appreciate y'all. Ooh, this is a great question. Grandmaster Dam said, do you learn more about yourself when you freestyle? 100%. I love that question. Yeah, absolutely. I learn things about myself every time I freestyle. It's really cool. When I first started doing the streams, before I even made my way over here to Twitch, when I was just streaming on YouTube, it used to just be your standard live chat freestyle where I was grabbing random words. Somebody threw tiger. When I'm in the cypher, earn stripes like a tiger. Somebody threw Titanic, sink you like Titanic, the bottom of Atlantic, whatever. And I was just grabbing one word after another and stringing them together in a dope freestyle. And I love doing that. And that's great practice. And I'm always going to do that. That's kind of like my heart, it's just doing dope battle rhymes based on random words and stringing it all together and talking about how I'm dope on the mic and can't nobody mess with me and all that fun shit that I do. But at a certain point, I noticed that a lot of people were like asking me real questions about myself. What do you think about this? Are you religious? What's your biggest fear? What's the biggest mistake you've made in your past? Do you regret anything from your past? What do you want to do in 10 years? Shit like that. Like it was like I was in a interview or something like that. Shout out Grambo 1980. Thank you for the gifts. Appreciate that. So people were asking me these questions and I would usually skip them, because I was too afraid to dive into that type of a freestyle for 2 reasons. One, I was afraid to, open up like that, right? I was afraid to expose myself like that, to expose my heart and really talk about real shit that I think about, and what's really going on in my mind. What are the types of things that keep me up late at night? Because I'm thinking about, the big things, so it's always scary, I think, as a human being and as an artist and creative to open up and be really, really vulnerable in your art, right? So there was that, right? It was like, let me just keep busting my battle rhymes because, that's what I do and that's what I'm used to. I don't know if I'm ready for this. And then the second thing was, I didn't know if I was skilled enough to make that work. Because it's one thing to do random freestyle bars about tigers and the Titanic and computers and supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, right? That's one thing. It's a totally different thing to do an improvised freestyle about my biggest fear. And so, I was afraid to attempt that. I didn't know if I could do it. And, I would kind of practice it here and there and experiment with it. And, it was like, damn, this is a lot more difficult. This requires a lot more technique to be able to express like my real feelings and thoughts in an improvised freestyle. And, I'm practicing it here and there, thinking about it. And at a certain point, I don't know what inspired me, but I think I was ready for the next stage of life, like we say, leap and the net will appear. I was ready to take that next leap and I just said, fuck it, man. I'm just going to try it. Next time somebody asks me something deep like that, I'm just going to dive in and see what happens. Leap and the net will appear. And sure enough, the net did appear. And the very first time that I did that, I don't remember what the question was, but there was this session way back, in the early Wordplay Wednesday days. And, I was just, I did it for the first time and it was so empowering. It wasn't perfect by any means. It wasn't anything brilliant, but it was the first time that I said, you know what? I'm going to speak my heart through these freestyles. I'm not just going to do random word bars. I'm going to speak on who Harry Mack is Yeah, and it was so dope, man. And I just remember being so fired up about it. And it was a self-fulfilling prophecy too, of course, because as soon as I did it once, people were like, oh, we can ask him questions and he'll actually talk to us. And then way more questions like that started coming in. And then people started having even more fun with it, and crazy prompts would come in. Yo, Mac, you wake up and you're in a dark alley and there's two buff dudes standing over you with crowbars. What's next? And crazy shit like that I would have been just terrified to attempt, you know, just months prior to this session where it all changed. You know, would have been terrified to try to tell a narrative story in freestyle form. I mean, that's so crazy difficult, right? And it can be sort of hit or miss, you know. Sometimes it works really well, other times it doesn't. It's so much harder to take control over a narrative concept when you're improvising than it is to just rap about random words, rapid fire. But nowadays, I got to tell you, man, it's one of my favorite things to do. And to be able to expand on a single topic, or to be able to speak on the shit that I really care about and am really passionate about, and let that flow through in the freestyle is amazing. And bringing all of that back to your question, when I'm answering those questions live in a freestyle, what's my biggest fear? What's something I regret from my past? Where do I see myself in 10 years? Who's somebody who influenced me in a real way? When I start freestyling off of those prompts, a lot of times when I dive in, I don't know what the answer is. And it's like this miraculous thing. Like, I can't even explain how crazy it is and how dope it is that the truth, my truth, will make itself known to me live during the freestyle in front of everybody. And it's almost like you all are learning this truth about me at the very same moment that I am. It's incredible, man. And it's so dope. Honestly, I'm just thankful to the fans and the members of this community that have thrown me those prompts and asked me those questions and inspired me to actually do the digging, right? And to go within myself and to ask, what is my biggest fear? You know, a lot of times my heart is very guarded in day-to-day life. But when I'm freestyling, thanks to you all, because you're so fucking positive and so supportive, you know, I feel safe opening up and being vulnerable like that with y'all. So love to the community, man. That's an awesome question. Grandmaster Dam, thank you for that. I was talking for a long time. Let me shuffle the deck. Let's see. Matt in the chat. You are in the chat, my friend. What up, Matt? I feel like I have so much positive energy that I can put out there, but I lack self-confidence and don't know where to start with what I put my energy into. It just feels like I put my energy into other people and I get nothing in return. I know this is depressing, but I'm just looking for a peace of mind. Believe me, it will go far. Well, look, Matt. The important thing is you got that positive energy that you want to put out there. And, you know, in terms of the self-confidence thing and not knowing where to start, again, I know I sound like a broken record this session. I'm going to say it again. Leap and the net will appear. You got to go for it, man. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to not have that self-confidence right now, but you got to put one foot in front of the other and go forth anyway. I don't know exactly what your medium is or what it is that you're trying to do, or how it is that you're trying to, you know, spread your message of positivity, or how it is that you're trying to open up and share. Whether it's, I don't know if you're an artist or a musician, or, you know, you want to be a motivational speaker or a teacher or what, but whatever that medium is, just go for it, man. Take the first step, you know, make your first song, or you know, post your first photograph on Instagram. Whatever it is you're looking to do, man, and it'll just get easier over time. I promise you that. I promise you that, but you got to take that first step. Hey, brother Asney, do you plan to make a beat on Twitch again? That's dope that you were here for that, man. Yeah, you've been in the Twitch streams from the beginning. It would be dope to cook up some beats on Twitch again. I gotta be honest with you, I haven't really been producing like that these days. I haven't really made beats in a minute. I think that, you know, I love making beats, but I really, you know, my heart is in the rapping thing. You know, I'm an MC, At the end of the day, I'm an MC, and so, you know, the majority of my time and energy is going into progressing as an MC and making more rap-related content for you guys. And the truth about production is it's a very involved process that requires a lot of time and a lot of attention to detail. So as much as I love it, I feel like right now, with all the work and all the things that I want to accomplish as a rapper, I'm just not able to carve out enough time to also produce to the level that I would want to produce at, you know? And I'm very obsessive. I have an addictive personality. Everybody knows that, and I've spoken openly about that. So, you know, it helps me in my rapping. It helped me in my production as well, but the problem is I just don't feel like I have the time to do both to the level that, you know, that I want to do things creatively. So right now, the focus is on rapping, but it would be fun to hop on here and make a beat at some point in the future just to kind of switch it up again. But I would kind of want to like make some beats in the weeks leading up to it so I could kind of brush the cobwebs off. I'm probably a little rusty in terms of production. Thanks for all the love, man. A lot of people commenting on how they appreciate me opening up and being vulnerable. I got y'all, man. I appreciate y'all being a part of it. Yeah, Jeannie, what up? Thank you for being here. All right, let me see if I can find another question. Bamit Jess 2020. Do you have plans for Europe when the world is normal again? You already know, man. I got plans for the whole globe. When it's safe to travel again, man, I want to get out there and tour. I want to rock stages. I want to meet y'all live in the flesh, man. I definitely want to go everywhere, and Europe is high up on my list of priorities, man. So I'm excited for the opportunity to make it out there. Hopefully soon. We'll see. What up, Iconic? Yeah. Mod Squad in the house. Kid Sleeves. Yeah. All right, Stevie B 803, Harry Mack official. When you were in college, what is one of your best memories from that time when you're freestyling? What school did you attend? I went to USC, University of Southern California, here in Los Angeles. So I moved down from Portland, Oregon in 2008, right? Yeah, damn. Came down to USC and was there for 4 years. Graduated in 2012 with my bachelor's in music, jazz studies, as a drummer. What is one of my best memories from the time with your freestyling? God, man, I don't know. There's so many. There were so many dope ciphers back in the college era, but they all kind of blend together, you know? So it's hard to say, man. Like, we rocked a lot of house parties back then. I had this band called The Cleanse. And it was dope, man. It was like all my friends from the jazz studies program, live instrumentation, kind of like the Roots. And I was the front man, so to speak. And, I was the rapper in the group. We had a horn section and everything. And we were like a super in-demand party band in our time. So, we were doing like multiple parties a week, house party, college ragers and shit. And it was dope, man. Live instrumentation, and I would freestyle like the whole set. We had hooks and stuff, so people around campus like knew our hooks. So that's like people would like sing along with the hooks and shit. We became known for these songs, but we didn't have a record or anything. People just knew our songs because we were playing it at all the parties and shit like that, and campus events and whatever. And so that was a lot of fun, man. Doing those shows was crazy exciting. And I got a lot better doing that too, because I got to rock for all kinds of different audiences and shit like that. And then the dorm room freestyles were crazy. That was like the practice session. I remember one time there was this cypher, and it was like late night house party, not with the band or anything, just like broke off into a side room with some people and started freestyling as we would often do. And like it was this whole verse about like what happens when you die. Somehow it got there. And I was going on about how like some people think there's like heaven and hell and da 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 da, but you know, I ended it with something like, but I don't even think that's what happens. You know, I think when I die, I probably just, you know, disintegrate back into the dirt, something, and fade away all the way. That's why I live every day like a holiday. And I just remember like everyone exploded, including myself. Like I didn't know it was gonna get capped off so smoothly, because this is way before I started practicing like conceptual freestyles and like how to structure it like a song or anything. It was way before that, and it just happened to line up about the afterlife and heaven and hell and reincarnation. But I don't even believe that. I think I'll just decay back into the dirt and fade all the way. That's why I live every day like a holiday. And that just like that moment stuck with me for some reason. It was just burned in my brain as this like fire moment where it all came together perfectly and everybody lost it. And you know, that's what we live for as freestylers. Though when people go, oh, you know, me and my friend Tim used to joke around and call it conjuring O's. We're all out here just trying to conjure O's. You know, we're trying to make people go, oh, with the bars. So that was a big one, man. Yeah. Arian 147. Yo, Harry, does your freestyle talent help you in conversation as well? It probably does. The funny thing is, I've found through rewatching some of the clips of me talking like this that I stutter a lot more in my regular conversation. I'm a lot worse at committing to words and phrasing when I'm not rapping. As soon as I start freestyling, I know I have to commit. That's kind of the golden rule of freestyling. Commit. Yes, and improv. Go forward. No revision, right? Say it like you mean it. But I'm sure it does help in my conversation. And like we said before, it helps me get to know myself. So just through freestyling in response to prompts about my biggest fear, my biggest regret, where I want to go, who's inspired me, I've been able to learn a lot more about myself. So when I am talking to people, I'm more confident in who I am. And that's all due to the freestyling. Yeah, Boko Crew 71 said, I got to request this again. Please make more Spotify tracks. You already know, man. 2021, it's going down. We are going to start dropping music like crazy. We're getting all the pieces in place right now and having the conversations to make it happen. But yeah, I'm super excited to drop more music. And it's going to be freestyle based, you know, songs, freestyle based mixtapes and albums. All the stuff you guys are used to me doing live on stream, but just repurposing it and tweaking it a little bit and getting it ready to come out as singles and projects. But I could not be more excited, man, to take this freestyle energy that we've been building in the streams, 4 days a week and start channeling that into music that you can bump in your car and, you know, listen to while you're working out at the gym. And yeah, definitely going to flood Spotify and all the streaming platforms very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. Let's go, Mack, bro. Have you watched any 80s breakdance or graffiti movies? Beat Street, Style Wars, Crush Groove, Breakdance, Electric Boogaloo, Breaking. What about Wild Style? Wild Style is my favorite. I've seen Beat Street. I think just those two, though, from this list. But yeah, man, I got to watch all of them. And I've seen bits and pieces of all of them. I've seen clips from, of course, I've seen clips from Crush Groove and Style Wars and probably all of these flicks, repurposed in different documentaries and shit or just things on YouTube that I've seen. But as far as sitting down and watching them top to bottom, I've seen Beat Street, I've seen Wild Style. But this is a great list, so I got to get up on this shit as well. Ethan said, are you going to upgrade to a PC? Well, this laptop is better than a lot of PCs, outside of the fact that it's a laptop, so, it's not upgradable. But this is like a PC replacement, a desktop replacement laptop. It has a crazy graphics card in it. It has a PC graphics card in it and a ton of RAM. So it's a beast. This is a really powerful computer. So a lot of PCs I could buy would be a downgrade from this laptop unless I was really, spending a ton of money and getting like a really high level PC. So we'll see, one step at a time. But for now, I'm really, really happy with this computer. Seattle's best. We needed that Kid Goran, Harry Mack type beat, no doubt. Pascalito 1904 said, "Yo, Harry, have you ever considered taking part in battle rap? You'd kill people live with freestyles." I mean, of course, you know, that comes up all the time. Everyone will say to me at one point or another, "Man, have you ever thought about battling? You would kill." I'll start with this. I have a huge respect for all the professional battle leagues on YouTube and, you know, here on Twitch and King of the Dot and, you know, all that shit. I mean, I've spent hours, especially back in college, I spent hours watching the, you know, rap battles on YouTube and, you know, dating back to when it was the, you know, World Rap Championships, the 2-on-2 actual like off top battles. You know, I loved Ilmac and Thesaurus. Yeah, I have a huge appreciation for that whole scene. The fact of the matter is, though, I'm not that into being mean like that. You know what I mean? I'm just like a nice guy. And I'm all about the positivity and being kind to other people. And that's so much of my messaging. It would be hard for me to enter into an arena where the whole purpose is for me to tear this other dude down. I just don't want to spend so much time in this negative kind of dissing space. You know, it's very unnatural to me, as much as I respect it. And of course I understand that those cats don't have like actual beef with each other most of the time. You know, it's just like wrestling or boxing. I mean, it's a sport, you know, and so, you know, they're participating in this sport where they're going head to head with each other. I get that. So it's not like I think they're mean people or they're disrespectful people or anything like that, but it's just not for me, man. It's not suited to kind of my mindset and the way that I like to present myself. And, you know, even when I've been in situations where people are like, "Yo, let me battle you right now," you know, I'm always like, "Whoa, like, let's cypher, bro. I'll freestyle, you'll freestyle, let's all get down, it's all good. You know, I want you to do well, bro. I don't want to cut you down." So there's only been a couple times in my life where I've battled. And it was, you know, years ago, and it was when it was just like I got called out and this dude was just, you know, going at me, and I had no choice but to reply. So I don't think it's for me, but I have a huge respect for it. Also, you know, the battle rap leagues right now are really not about going off top at all. It's, you know, they're written battles, so everything is prepared in advance. You know who you're going to battle, and you know, you spend months constructing perfect verses and you know, that tear that component to pieces. And it's brilliant. The shit that they come up with and the technical skill set that you have to do that at the level that they're doing it is fucking incredible. It's inspiring. You know, I went through a phase recently where I was listening to a lot of battle rap shit just to hear the homonym schemes that they're doing, where it's like a coded message inside of almost every line. I didn't even catch half the shit. I was in the YouTube comments being like, "God damn, I'm a rapper and I didn't even catch half this shit." So yeah, salute to all the heavyweights in the rap battle scene, but that's not really my vibe, man. I'm more about the cypher. We're going to answer just a couple more questions, and then we're going to get out of here. Shout out Low Fat 84 from New Zealand. Israel said, "Bro, I'd love to hear you talk about jazz and your playing and stuff. What are some of your favorite tunes, styles you dig, jazz legends, drummers or not? I'd love to just pick your brain." Oh, man. That's a good question. Well, first of all, let me sip some water here. I'm a bit dehydrated. Shirty Bag, thanks for the bits. Thanks for copping the hoodie, too. I hope you dig it. The hoodies are mad comfortable. I'm not going to lie. Y'all got to hit the shop up and cop those hoodies. I wear mine all the time. All right, so, yeah, jazz, man. You know, my favorite drummer is Philly Joe Jones. But there's so many others that I love. Elvin Jones, Tony Williams, Max Roach, Billy Higgins. I mean, just so many. And yeah, I mean, I haven't played a jazz gig in a minute, to be honest with you. So I'm kind of out of that world. and have been out of that world now for a couple years, which is kind of crazy to say because I used to gig all the time. I mean, as my main job was gigging as a jazz drummer and teaching drum lessons. So, I played thousands of gigs in my life. I wonder if I've played I don't know how many, but thousands of gigs as a jazz drummer. But I've been out of that sphere for a while. But I mean, my favorite style of jazz was like hard bop, 50s, 60s. Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. Horace Silver and his bands. Cannonball Adderley and his bands. John Coltrane, obviously. The classic quartet, Coltrane. That shit. Miles Davis, as I mentioned before, both quintets that he had, the first one with Philly Joe and Paul Chambers and Red Garland and Train, and then the later iteration as well with the young Tony Williams and Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, Wayne Shorter. That's my favorite shit. And of course that last group kind of started to evolve outside of the hard bop sound, but that's my favorite shit in terms of jazz. And I gotta pull my drums back out and play, man. It would be crazy to have a jazz session one of these days, but I'm full-time freestyle right now, man, and I'm loving it. And I'm using all the information that I got from being a jazz drummer. Those thousands of gigs gave me so much information that I use every single time I pick up the mic and bust a freestyle. Those concepts of rhythmic improvisation, always moving forward, the concept of understanding form and always knowing where I am over the beat, even when I get juxtaposed against the beat or get shifted in my timing to a different position on the beat, I always know where one is, and that comes from all those gigs that I've played, and just the different rhythms and moving in and out of different kind of rhythmic subdivisions and going into triplets and back into eighth notes and double time and different melodic shapes that I can use, and concepts like repeating the same rhythmic cadence, again and again to establish, a melodic idea that can become catchy and to create predictability, but then, doing something unexpected to break that predictability and keep it interesting and exciting. I mean, and just on and on and on. All of my jazz training has been hugely influential and is just essential to the way that I approach my freestyling. And if that was too nerdy and in depth for a lot of you watching, don't worry about it. What I'm trying to say is freestyling to me is jazz drum solos with words, right? A freestyle is a jazz drum solo with words. It's the combination of an improvised jazz drum solo and poetry and language. And when you put those together and they have a baby, that's what I consider my freestyling to be. Great question. Love that. All right, I got some things I got to do, so I'm going to answer one more question, and then we're going to get out of here. This is a great question from Simon Larchevicu. I hope I said that right. I see and hear a different H-Mack on Omegle than on the streets with Gorilla Bars. Do you feel like your freestyle has changed / improved? 100,000%, man. My freestyles improve every single day that I wake up. I'm constantly practicing. I'm constantly conceptualizing new ways of approaching the freestyle game. I'm constantly imagining new techniques, new possibilities, new things that I'd like to experiment with and try, and that's never going to go away. So I'm always practicing and trying to get better. That said, there are some other factors that play into what you say in terms of hearing a different H-Mack on Omegle than you heard in the streets with Gorilla Bars. Yes, there's the fact that most of the Gorilla Bars, starting from episode 7, were filmed almost a year ago now, right? In a little less than a year, but in almost a year ago, in January and February of this year, right? So that was quite a while ago. The Omegle bars, however, have been filmed, in the past few months. They've been filmed very recently, so they're coming out now. So that's a lot of time to grow and improve, right? Even for me, when some of the later Omegle episodes were coming out, because they had been filmed so long ago, I was like, this isn't it. This isn't dope by the current standard. But it is what it is. What are you going to do? Of course, I was going to put that content out. But and artists are always like that. We're always on to the next thing, the bigger and better thing. And we always feel like the old shit is played out. But yeah, so there's a lot of time to improve. But as I was starting to say, there are other factors too. Because a lot of people will say that, like, why is it so much cleaner on the Omegle bars? Like, some people would say, like, I feel like this is staged. Like, if you watch his Gorilla bars, there's way more filler. It's true. And so what people have to remember is that when I'm doing a live stream or when I'm doing Omegle bars, I am here in my studio, right? I am in, like, the comfort zone of all comfort zones, right? I couldn't be cozier anywhere in the world than right here in this studio, because every day I wake up and spend hours being creative in this studio. This is my safe space. I know exactly where everything is. I know how to grab this and change the light color if I want to. I can open these blinds. I sit back in this chair. This is actually a relatively new chair. But you get the point, man. I sit back in this chair. I feel at home. I know how to dial in the sound. I know how everything's going to work, right? I can go to the kitchen and make a meal. So freestyling at a high level has a lot to do with comfort level and feeling like you're in a safe space to be creative. And this is the definition of being in that safe space, right? So I don't get nearly as nervous to film some Omegle bars as I used to get going out into the world and doing Gorilla bars, right? Even at this stage for me, having done it a bunch of times, and now it's established, it's something I do, and obviously people like it and think it's dope, so that's great. But even now, going out into the world and, being vulnerable like that and approaching strangers face to face and freestyling for them and seeing them react and, getting that rejection, because there's a lot of people who say no or walk away or they don't want it or think it's whack or whatever, right? That shit makes me nervous, for real, even to this day. That's a big undertaking, and always by the end of a Gorilla Bar session, I am completely drained. Right? Because I've given so much of my personality to people in the real world. And so when you're out there in the real world, juggling those nerves and juggling those social scenarios, and trying not to offend anyone and trying to make sure everybody's comfortable, all of those things, the nerves and the social situation, they're taking some of your mental CPU away, right? You have to, partition off some of your mental CPU to handle those types of things. So there's only so much CPU left to focus on the freestyle itself, right? And hopefully there's enough to do a good job. And at this stage in the game, usually there is. But, when I'm here in this studio, I can dedicate way more of my mental CPU to the freestyle itself. So I can think about things like trying to avoid filler. I can think about things, like scheming for an extended time on the same word, in a stronger way. So that's really one of the big reasons, I think, why you hear a different Mack on Omegle than you hear in the streets with Gorilla bars. And that's also the reason I'm really, really excited to start getting music out, freestyle-based music out on Spotify and Apple Music and all that. Because here in this studio, the process is just dialed in, and what we're able to accomplish with the off-top freestyles here in the studio with hooks and structured verses and everything like that and concepts is really, really dope. And I've been really fired up about it, and I just can't wait to get more music out to you guys, freestyle-based music that's created here in the comfort zone of my studio. And of course, I'm excited to get out there and do more Gorilla bars too, because I love that. And I love getting outside of my comfort zone, and Gorilla bars is the definition of getting outside of my comfort zone. So I'm excited for all of it, but I just wanted to address that because, yeah, it's true, man. The freestyles are next level in the studio compared to the out in the world shit. The out in the world shit, of course, has so many things that make it great, like the beautiful, colorful, changing scenery, all the different human beings and facial reactions, and all the diversity that you get to see within one video. So it's all gravy, man. Well, look, I want to thank you guys so much for being here and hanging out with me for the chill Q&A session. You guys are incredible, man. This has been really, really fun for me. I'm going to keep doing these. I've been trying to hop in here about, once a week. It's not on a set schedule or anything like that. It's just when I have available time, I want to hop in and build with y'all. So thank you for showing up, man. It blows my mind that there's been, about 400 people in here the whole time for the chill Q&A, and you guys are really, really amazing. So appreciate y'all being here. Acting nonverbal. Thank you for the bits. Let's go. Appreciate that. Shout out to the mod squad too, and everybody that tapped in here and helped keep the chat nice and clean. Appreciate y'all. And shout out to everybody with the dope questions, man. Much appreciated. More content like this, excuse me, in the works. So keep your eye out. Some exciting announcements to make very, very soon. But as for now, man, I'm going to see who we're going to raid. And I'm going to get out of here. Oh, I see Herman Lee is live. We could raid him again. But we did raid him once already. Who else we got? Thug Shells, female freestyler. Huh. Let me see that. I'm always down to support another freestyler. Yeah, the raids have been super fire recently. That's all thanks to the mod squad. They've been steering me in the right direction and giving me some dope options in terms of raids. All right, so we're gonna do this then. Let's Oh, and someone else is saying Julian Bell humor. Yeah. Mahari knows what it's like to get raided. Yeah, we just raided Julian. That's right. I was like, I know that name. All right, Thug Shells it is. Let me just make sure I spelled it right. Okay. Dope. Well, y'all have fun over there, man. And I got some work I got to get to for the rest of the afternoon. Really appreciate y'all tapping in with me for the chill Q&A sesh. Lots of fun to get to build with y'all. More of these to come. Exciting announcements on the horizon. Peace and love, y'all. Stay tuned.